Welcome to Cinema Convos. This is the show where we bring guests with different tastes in film to have a meaningful discussion about the art of cinema. However, today I'm your host Yash, and I'm here with my co-host Zach, and we are going to discuss our predictions for the Oscar nominations. And before we get started, I wanted to just say, we are aware of what's going on in Los Angeles, and we would just like to say our hearts are with whoever is affected by these wildfires, and it's important to address when we're talking about, Hollywood and movies. So that's just wanted to put that out there.
Absolutely, Ash. Yeah, no. Yeah, so we're picking the nominees for nine categories. And now those are for Best Picture, Best Director, the four acting categories, the two screenplay categories, and for Best Animated Feature Film. The picks that we're going to do now, these aren't necessarily what Yash and I think are the best. These are what we think will be nominated based on our experience, us following the award circuit and everything like that. Speaking of the events that are happening in LA right now, a lot of these award ceremonies got pushed back. Yeah, the nominations for the Oscars, they were going to be this Friday. They're now this Sunday. And what also got pushed back were the Critics' Choice Awards, as well as the nominations for the Producers Guild and the Writers Guild. So we're making these predictions with not having a couple of the key precursors here. However, I think without that, I think we still have a pretty good idea based on kind of what we follow and what some of the other awards have done, that I think we have a good idea of who's going to be nominated here.
Yeah, for sure. And just to echo what Zach was saying, that we have traditionally done this in the past as a social post. So now we're trying it out as an episode so you can see a bit more of our thought process and what goes into making those picks. Now, as Zach said, there's going to be movies on here that we don't necessarily consider our personal favorites, like Amelia Perez, just to put it out there in the beginning of the episode.
You're just having it
Um,
out there. We're like,
yeah, I'm gonna put it out there because I'm still mad about the Golden Globes.
uh,
But as Zach said, we have less information than we usually do. Obviously, we know there's bigger problems going on in the city, and we're not like we just know it's gonna be a fun challenge to predict these because we believe, the Oscars are an important time of the year to celebrate the best in cinema, and we really love talking about these. So we're just kind of bringing our listeners along for the ride, and hope to continue doing this every year. Those of you listening at home, Zach makes this really intricate PowerPoint every year, and that's kind of our reference point to like eliminate movies and see what's going to be left out. And I'll do my best to describe what we're doing as it's happening. And just to get the ball rolling, we'll start with the big one. We'll start with Best Picture.
as far as Best Picture goes, I think there's a few that I think are in there, like as there always are around this time after the Globes, when start SAGs and PGAs get starting announced, you tend to have a core four or five. I think in this case it's a core five or maybe six. I think we can just go ahead and put them in there. So first of all, The Brutalist is the front runner. After the Golden Globes, after they seemingly swept the Golden Globes, they have positioned themselves pretty squarely as the front runner. That's the first film we can go ahead and include here.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah,
Brutalist is, I would agree, is the front runner for as it stands right now.
yeah. And then I think the number two there, even though it didn't win at the Globes at all, Honora.
Yeah, I would still say Anora and The Brutalist are the two that are because I did see a post earlier today that I shared, and you may have seen it, that Anora is the most awarded film of the season, which I
Yeah,
think it has something like 93 wins across all, festivals and award shows. So I still think that makes it a lock for Best Picture here. I would go ahead and say that Conclave and Amelia Perez are locks as well.
I agree. I
Simply
agree.
because of how they performed in award shows. And yeah, I think those two are pretty safe to lock in as well.
I agree. So I would say, see, like how I said, there's usually a core four or five. I think there's a core five, and those are the four. And the fifth is probably the biggest and most popular film of the year, Wicked. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
would say Wicked. It's safe to lock in Wicked.
absolutely, yeah, I think that's pretty safely in here at this point. So I think those are our core five. But I did definitely think, well, like, I mean, obviously, there's five spots left, but I think there's some other ones that we can pretty safely say are in.
So I'll go out on a limb here, and I actually think I know which five it's going to be,
Okay.
and you tell me if I'm crazy. I think Dune Part Two, A Real Pain, The Substance, Sing Sing, and A Complete Unknown are the ones I'd pick.
Yes, I agree with you on all five of those. The only so okay, so here's where I'll kind of break this down here. Dune, I think, is a pretty safe bet, and I think it's been in there safely for a while now. I think despite early release in the year, it hasn't had as much momentum in other categories, but there's no indication that it's going to miss out here, and I think it's pretty safe to put it in there. Um, and then two surprises. I wouldn't call them surprises now, but the substance has become that has had a groundswell of support where I wouldn't have put it, in this best picture category a few months ago. Like I would have said maybe it could sneak in. It's an indie film people like, but gosh, it has become it's very awarded and like nominated. And the Academy, what I've noticed is in this new age of Academy, they like weird movies and they want to see like, hey, they want to say that, hey, we're down with this type of film. They've never really nominated a film like this, so I think The Substance is safely in there.
The
Like you
Substance
said,
is also, I think, one thing they do like a lot, I think, at least recently, is that it's a mostly liked film, but it is a polarizing film. I do know
yes,
people who don't like The Substance at all. And I
me too.
think its divisive nature kind of makes it a heavily talked about film. I like The Substance, so I'm a fan of it. Um, and just looking at Zach's graphic here, I mean, the other films he has here are September 5, Challengers, Gladiator 2, Nickel Boys, and The Wild Robot. At a time, I would have thought Nickel Boys and Challengers had a solid chance, but I think over time, I don't know, they've just been not as talked about as much, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree. I think those films had a chance, but they just didn't. I mean, they just didn't do right. Challengers kind of the same way as Dune 2 had an early release, and at one point had some momentum. It just all fell off. And with September 5, it's the opposite problem. Their release is prime in Oscar season, but they just haven't been mobile. It hasn't been mobilized. It hasn't been showing up in places. So I think that's safely out. But as far as Pickle Boys go, I'm not so sure it won't get nominated. That's the only one that I'm a little bit like that could sneak in, but its
I think
chances are dwindling right now.
I do feel if any of these sneak in, it would be at the expense of Sing Sing. I don't think any of the other films will be taken out at this point.
I agree, which is crazy to think
Yeah,
about
because Sing
because
Sing is outstanding, so it's really upsetting.
yeah, and like in this over the summer, people were saying Sing Sing it could win the whole thing. People were saying that.
Well, Sing Sing as a film, it champions, art as a form of therapy, and I just thought the Academy would be all over something like that, and it was an easy front runner when I first saw it, but then I saw other films as it went on. Um, so yeah, and also it's so funny how Challengers and Dune Part Two were both slated for last year. Like if they came out last year, 2023 would have been an even more incredible year for movies.
Yeah,
'Cause I don't even know if Dune Part Two would have made my top 10 last year. Or sorry, not last year, 2023. But I don't know if Challengers even would have cracked 2023 list. It's on my list this year for best of the year.
really.
Because that was just it was just that good of a year. It was really, really strong.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as complete unknown, obviously that's getting in. And that's another one that has gotten a lot more support as of late because it did really well at SAG. Four nominations at SAG, which is huge. And so it's proven a force. And then yeah, Real Pain is in there. I I agree. I was worried for a sec, but I think it's in there. And then as of right now, hope nothing changes. We still have Sing Sing. Only thing that could change is when the Producers Guild nominations come out. And if Sing Sing isn't on there, and I'm worried Sing Sing will be left out of Producers Guild and we'll see Ickle Boys instead. Maybe September 5, maybe. But if Sing Sing does miss out on its chance, it'll be because it doesn't get into the PGA.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel good about these 10 picks as it stands. I will read through them real quick. So we have for Best Picture, we have predicted The Brutalist, Anora, Amelia Perez, Dune Part 2, Wicked, Conclave, Sing Sing, A Complete Unknown, The Substance, and A Real Pain.
Okay.
And now we're gonna move on to Best Director. This is gonna be five, right? Five
Yes.
directors.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything's five except for Best Picture, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I will go ahead and say, like you said, for Best Picture, I think it's pretty safe to put Brady Corbett, how do you say it?
Corbet.
Corbet for The Brutalist, and then Sean Baker for Anora. I would say those two are locks.
I agree. I definitely agree. I feel like yeah, like after the Golden Globes, especially Corbet is the front runner. I think he's been the front runner for a while,
Yeah.
even when Sean Baker had all this goodwill after Cannes and
Mhm.
everything. I think Corbet became a front runner for this as soon as you started seeing, as soon as the first trailer for The Brutalist came out, he became the front runner because they saw, look at this, like that they saw that.
I have to say, The Brutalist has a very good trailer campaign going. It's just, impressive quotes about the film, and then there's like minimal plot given, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, but I think what helps its picture changes its scope. It like
So it's very grand and old school.
it looks like a 90s Spielberg film.
Yeah. And it's a film that neither of us have seen yet, so we're waiting on to get it to get a wider release down here in Texas. I would also say, you tell me if you disagree, but Jacques Audiard for Amelia Perez, and then
Yes,
Coralie Farge for The Substance, I would say are locks.
I agree. Audiard, yeah, I think he's pretty safe, especially since Amelia Perez, as it turns out, is doing pretty well, despite it being pretty polarizing. The Substance, see, Harjay was someone I was a little unsure of, but I think as The Substance has been doing better, to me more especially, I
Right.
think Harjay's chances only are getting better.
And
Yeah.
also, this is an ongoing thing in Hollywood. It's an ongoing problem, but she's probably the only woman I think is going to get nominated this year, which I think they're going to factor that in. That's just how the Oscars operate sometimes.
Yeah, I would say she's the only thing. The only other
Especially
woman,
after Greta Gerwig was not included last year. I don't know. Might be some course correction going on.
the only other woman I could see that could get included is like Hypatia for All You Imagine Is Light.
Yeah,
That is kind of that would be a sleeper. The only reason I mention that is because the Oscars, the director's branch, kind of likes to surprise us with they'll throw in a what? And that's the only one I can think of. But even that would be a little out there for them. I
yeah,
just mentioned because she got in at the Globes.
she did. She did. And I haven't seen that film yet, so I can't really speak to how the film's directed. In fact, I can't even speak about Nickel Boys, but I do think that's also I think we're kind of gonna what I would say the situation we're in now is it's like we have to pick one of the three, like Edward Berger for Conclave, Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys, or Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part Two. I feel
Yes.
like it's gonna be one of those three, and it's gonna be a bit of a guess for me if I had to pick one. I don't know what else to go off of for those. My heart wants Denis Villeneuve, but is that gonna happen? Is the question.
So keeping this in mind, he didn't get nominated for the first Dune.
I could definitely see him being snubbed for this.
I think he will be snubbed. I think it's going to be Edward Berger
I think
for
so too. He
Enclave.
he was also quite a favorite when he did All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah, I think he was snubbed when he did All Quiet on the West Front. I think he should have gotten the nomination then.
Yeah, but the film itself performed well, so maybe
Yes, it
that'll
did.
that will.
So
Which Conclave is has been an interesting entry this year. Like it's been a definitely the kind of movie you watch it and you think, oh, that's very awardsy and that's gonna garner some nominations.
absolutely it will. I guess with a couple of the other directors here, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown. He's on here because he got a surprise DGA nomination. That's the only reason he's here. I don't think that's going to carry over to the Oscars, even though they do like biopics. Also, he's been in Hollywood forever, been making movies forever. He's never gotten a Best Director nomination. I don't think it's going to start now.
And I
And
don't I don't think it's anywhere near his best film out of the
no,
other films I've seen from James Mangold. So
it's not.
I don't think
But
this wouldn't be the time to do it.
yeah, Han M. Chu for Wicked. In the height of Wicked's hype, there was a time. There was a time where I would have said, yeah, this will make, or he has a, I wouldn't say I would have said, yes, he's definitely going to make it. I thought he had a shot, but I don't think that's happening anymore. But yeah, I feel good about these five.
I like how you said "In the Height," referencing another John M. Chu film, "In the Heights."
I didn't. That was not intentional, but I love it.
Okay, cool. So for best director, our five that we predict to get nominated are Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, Sean Baker for Anora, Jacques Audiard for Amelia Perez, Coralie Farge, The Substance, and then Edward Berger, Conclave.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Best actor in a leading role.
Yes. Yes. So for best actor, so this one, there are four. I think four spots are basically locked. It's the fifth spot that is going to be a fight. However, I think we have our leader in the fifth spot, and I think it's someone is in that fifth spot, and it's basically on them if they fall out or not. It's there's who lose, but I think the front runner at this point, especially after the Globes, is Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. I think he is definitely the front runner right now. Um, and then followed pretty closely by Timothy Chalamet for Complete Unknown. I'm not sure which one of them is going to get the Oscar, but I'm certain both of them are getting in. And then
Yeah, I would agree with everything so far.
I'm certain about Ralph Fiennes for Conclave. As much as like I liked Conclave a lot, and I would love to see him get in for and I'd love to see him win for it. But Adrian Brody and Chalamet, if there's people who are really split, he could. But I kind of compare this to, I guess, 2 years ago where it was Brendan Fraser versus Austin Butler, and they're like, Colin Farrell was nominated that year for Banshees of Inisherin, and they're like, well, if the vote's split enough, he could get it. Similar situation, but yeah. And then I think the fourth one I think that I'm sure of is Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. Even though I'm a little worried now because Sing Sing is falling off, I think they're still going to award him.
Yeah, and I think Coleman Domingo's performance in Sing Sing should definitely be included. And I think these four are also what I would have picked as my four locks as well. However, I don't know where to begin with number five. I mean, I would say I'll give you a list of like three that I think would be in that race, and you tell me if your pick falls in there. Um, I would say Daniel Craig, Sebastian Stan for A Different Man, or Sebastian Stan for the Apprentice. Those are the
Yeah,
three. Those are the three. I think that we're gonna pick one of them. I just don't know who to pick.
no, no, I agree with you. And Sebastian Stan's having a heck of a year. Um,
Yeah, he's having one of those years where he's not guaranteed to win, but he is guaranteed to be nominated for something.
and I'm not sure he's going to get nominated here. I think he has a good chance. I mean, he has two performances that could do it. Um, I think even though he won for A Different Man, I think he has a better chance getting nominated for The Apprentice than he does A Different Man. Um, I think The Apprentice has a chance. The Apprentice is a pretty controversial film.
That's
Specifically,
true, yeah.
obviously, it's about Trump. It also isn't flattering at all,
Yeah,
and
no,
it wasn't
the Trump
screened
family
in
was not
America.
happy about it.
Yeah,
So
and it really wasn't shown very much in America because they really weren't able to find a distributor here. So,
it played in my theater for like a week. Like I didn't
yeah,
was not able to see it.
yeah. But I think Sebastian Stan's win for A Different Man might help him get nominated for The Apprentice, oddly enough.
Yeah, and I think The Apprentice, I haven't seen either film, but from what I understand, his character is a bit more, I guess there's more like theatrical acting, like to play Trump versus like the character he plays in Different Man.
Yeah,
I haven't seen either film, so I could just be totally lying about this, but this is just the vibe I get from the trailers,
yeah.
which I know the Academy loves they love a mix of those like quiet performances, but also those that are like very like flashy and over the top almost to an extent.
Absolutely. Jesse Eisenberg for Real Pain, he could get it. However, it's a rather understated performance, but he directed himself, which is fun.
Yeah, I mean,
This is
I think that A Real Pain will get honored in a different category, not to give away too much. But but I think that's fair. Now here's a question: if we pick Sebastian Stan, but we pick the wrong movie, do we get half credit?
no,
Okay, we're not grading on a curve here.
we're not grading on a curve. We're not grading on a curve. But Daniel Craig and Queer, I think he is probably the one. I think it's his fifth spot to lose right now, mainly because as you can see on my graphic here, he's gotten in everywhere available, just like everyone else in the top four. He got in at SAG, got in at the Globes, and got in at Critics' Choice. Um, that being said, that doesn't mean he won't get snubbed. It's happened in the past. We've gotten in everywhere and you don't get in the Oscars, but there really needs to be a groundswell from somewhere else or something that happens that makes the voters not vote for you.
Yeah.
Um, no one is voting against Daniel Craig right now for any reason, but people may be voting for Sebastian Stan. But is it
Yeah.
enough? I don't
Sebastian
know.
Stan is, I feel like, on the rise since ever since the Golden Globe win for A Different Man. Because to be honest, that was an unexpected win even for me. I didn't really see it coming.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's a little bit of a gamble, but I think Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice is actually a safe pick here.
Yeah.
I think so. My gut's telling
Yeah.
me that's the one.
See, it's sort of funny. Yeah, like I want to go for Daniel Craig for Queer, but like I think that's the safer pick, but I want it to be Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice because that's the more chaotic pick, and that's the one that I want.
Right. Sometimes
And
sometimes it's fun to pick what you want to. I don't know.
yeah, honestly, if you want to go with that one, I am very okay with that. I think Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice would be a more fun pick.
Let's manifest. Also because it'll make Trump mad. Not to get too political, but that'd be hilarious.
Like, ooh, I'm
He did
mad.
not do a good job acting like me.
What an impression.
Oh, my Trump impression needs work. I'm aware.
Yeah, no. But no, I think this is a solid five. There's a couple that like would be fun to see here, but like I think this is a solid five.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So to recap, best leading actor, we have our five picks as Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Ray Fiennes for Conclave, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice.
Okay.
Moving right along to actress, best leading actress. I'd like to say one thing here is that Mikey Madison has been severely overlooked so far, and she's phenomenal in Anora, and I still have her as my number one pick for the Oscar. That's what I'll say to start out, and I'll let you share a little more insights on some of these others.
I agree with you there. No, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there with Mikey Madison. She should have gotten the Globe as much as I love the Me Moore's story. I do think Mikey Madison should have gotten the Globe, but I still think she's the front runner for the Oscar. You're right about that.
And I
Um,
think Demi Moore was good in the substance, but just speaking more in my personal opinion, like in terms of acting, she does spend like half the movie laying on the floor. Whereas like Mikey Madison is like acting her like ass off the entire
yeah.
movie. Like it's I don't know. I just feel like there's a huge difference in quality for me. Both are very good, top tier performances, not to downplay anything. But I just feel like when it's a I feel like I walked out of Anora thinking that movie was amazing because of the performance. I didn't walk out of the substance thinking like, oh, that movie was great because of the acting. It was great because of the concept and the story and special effects. I just think why I loved both films is different. But that being said, I would say it's safe to put Demi Moore as one of our picks. With all that said,
I agree. No, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, yeah, I think after the Globe, she definitely has earned that, and it'd be great to see her get nominated for it. She's never been nominated for an Oscar,
and
and it
she's
would be
as she
great.
said in her speech, she's working a long time, really talented actress, and we're all a big fan of yours, Demi. We just liked Mikey a bit more. I liked Mikey a bit more this year. I won't speak for Zach. I don't know
Oh,
what
I
his
mean,
opinion is.
I also did. I also did. But the thing about Mikey Madison, it's like leading categories, the Oscars don't always give it to young, new actors on their first go.
That
Um,
is fair. That's true.
Timothy Chalamet in Call Me by Your Name, good example. His was an Oscar caliber performance that year.
I
And
still think it's Timmy's best performance, even after Complete Unknown.
that was what, 2017? Yeah, he should have
Yeah.
gotten the Oscar because it was Gary Oldman for The Darkest Tower and Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread. Yeah, he should have gotten the Oscar. But
Well, I mean, Call Me by Your Name is the movie that, as soon as you watch it, if you watched it in 2017, you knew immediately Timothy Chalamet is going to be a star. Like he's so good in that film, and there's the end credit scene which won't spoil what it is if you haven't seen it, but it's also referenced in Sausage Party Foodtopia for whatever reason.
I'm so glad you mentioned that
I
because
had to mention
that
that because Zach and I watched half of that series together, um, and it's just like it's. But back to the scene, it's just like it's one of the best sequences of nonverbal acting I think I've ever seen in a movie.
yes.
And he was still overlooked, so that's a fair point. Like he was nominated, but he didn't win.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fair point. Maybe they won't give it to a newcomer, but maybe they will.
The only reason there is because they were going to give it to either they were going to give it to Gary Oldman as a Lifetime Achievement Award because he's never won, or they were going to give it to Daniel Day-Lewis as a Lifetime Achievement Award, even though he's won several times, but this was going to be his last movie. Um, the only other parallel I could see is you're giving it to Demi Moore as a Lifetime Achievement. Hey, sorry, throughout your career you've been completely overlooked. Or another pick, they could give it to Angelina Jolie for Maria.
Yeah, I mean,
But
Angelina Jolie was good in Maria. Like it's the type of stuff they like usually in a
yeah,
normal year.
but at this point, she lost the Globe for drama, which she should have won if she's going to be in this position, and she got snubbed by the SAG. I don't even feel comfortable. I don't think she's a lock for a nomination. So I'm going to reserve putting her as a nominee right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm gonna be honest. Usually, actress is a bit more of a difficult. In the last few years, it's been a hard category to predict. However, I think for me at least, I think it's safe to nominate Carla Sofia Gascon
Yes.
for Emilia Perez, Cynthia
Mhm.
Erivo for Wicked. I think those two are pretty safe.
I agree. I definitely agree. And I think as the surge of, as Wicked surged as a contender, Cynthia Erivo was the driving force because her performance is a powerhouse performance.
Yeah, I mean, her performance is undeniably really good in
Yeah.
that film, and any film that's a musical where part of it is singing, she sings so well in that movie. So I think it'll be included.
Yeah.
I I
So I
I
think
also have to say, I'm actually I feel like Fernanda Torres is my fifth for I'm Still Here.
I agree with you because one, she won the Globe actress drama. If you win the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Drama as opposed to musical or comedy, I feel like winning it for a drama, that's got to be a lock you get in. I mean, it's got to be. Um, it's just, and I understand actress in a drama wasn't quite as strong as it has been in the past this year, but no, I think she is good. And yes, she's international, but like that might work in her favor. I've seen her surging since the Globes, and I think the Academy will notice that too. So I'm comfortable
Yeah.
nominating her as
She's surging,
well.
and that movie's supposed to be really, really good. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. But looking at these other nominees, I think she has better odds than Angelina Jolie, Nicole Kidman, and Pamela Anderson. I think those are the other three that, we may have seen pop up, but I think she's just been on the rise, and uh I think Fernanda Torres is my fifth pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think Angelina Jolie fell off from missing out on SAG. Nicole Kidman has really fallen off for Baby Girl.
Yeah.
Now, if she had won, if she had won the Golden Globe, I'd have her in here. Um,
Yeah. I
but
think
she
I think
didn't.
the Globe is really the tiebreaker for us here.
Yeah. But Pamela Anderson for the last Showgirl. Now this was really a surge kind of at the end here, and she got a SAG nomination, which is funny because she's not really known for being, and I hate to say this, as a good actress. This
I
is
mean,
kind of
yeah, that is
like,
true. He's known
yeah,
for Baywatch.
known for Baywatch and those kind of things. Like she's not known for good movies, and so when you get awarded for real acting and you don't have as much of a history of that, it's cool. But I don't know if that's going to carry her. And I do think there's some stigma from her kind of past, and it's like,
Right, right.
just don't know if the Academy, the
The
voters
tape.
are going to take her seriously.
Yes.
So I don't think she makes it. But I do
Yeah.
feel like Fernanda Torres will get in.
That being said, I think if there were six of these, I think Nicole Kidman or Pamela Anderson would be my sixth pick.
I agree with you there. I agree with you.
But okay, let's lock these in. We're for Best Leading Actress, we have Mikey Madison in Anora, Demi Moore in The Substance, Carla Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here.
Yep.
Alrighty, moving right along to Best Supporting Actor. I'll go out right and say it. I think Kieran Culkin is going to win this award. I'd feel confident saying that now, so we can definitely put him in there.
Completely agree.
And let's see. Upon first glance, I actually think I know who's going to get in this category, and I want to see if you agree.
Okay.
I think Guy Pearce in The Brutalist,
Yeah, I definitely think he's getting in, even though he missed out on SAG, which
which
is
is it's definitely a snub from what I've heard about the film.
SAG. They did not like Brutalist, and I don't know why.
Yeah, Yura Borisov for Anora, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, and then Clarence Macklin, Sing Sing. Those are my picks.
Yeah. So I agree with you on Guy Pearce, and I agree with you on Edward Norton. I think
Okay,
those guys, those are getting in.
we can get
I'm
those
a
three locked
little
in.
hesitant about Yura Borisov. I'm not, it's not a no. It's just like I'm a little hesitant on Yura Borisov because
Yeah, to be
he's
honest, it's been
really,
a little surprising. He's getting as many awards as he has.
his performance in the movie, it did not strike me as an awards performance like
Mm.
at all. In fact, I was pretty surprised
Yeah,
after
I
the
felt
movie
surprised too.
when I went and looked like him of all and it's not bad. It's a very understated performance, and he's an actor. He doesn't like he's a Russian actor. He's really only acted over there. He doesn't have a profile here, and it's a really understated performance. It seems surprising and fitting the buzz, and it will kind of surprise me if he gets in. And
Yeah, that's all. I think that's fair.
but when it comes to Clarence Macklin, another thing, pretty unknown actor too, reminds me of 4 years ago when Paul Raci got nominated for Sound of Metal. He was a career, basically background actor. He did his thing in the business. He was this very, very small time, no name, and he acts in this movie, and it gets awards buzz, and he gets an Oscar nomination. Clarence Macklin, from what I hear, is a similar trajectory.
But also to be fair, I think like I would also argue that it kind of reminds me of Barkhad Upti in the Captain Phillips. You know, he wasn't really known for being an actor, but he still was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And I think with Clarence Macklin, if you they really love a good story, and I just think in terms of like I don't think Sing Sing is gonna garner too many nominations, and I think this is one of them. But I guess we don't have as many precursors for it to hint at it.
I do like Clarence Macklin though. I do like him. I'm a little less sure on him a little bit.
Maybe it's one of those things I would just really like to see, and I'm not really
Yeah.
sure if the odds are truly
Um,
there.
Now I think Yura Borisov has better odds right now than Clarence
Yeah,
Macklin
I think so too.
because he got SAG, he got Golden Globe, he got Critics' Choice. And I would shy away from Clarence Macklin right now just because
Yeah, I
of
would say I mean
Sing Sing is plummeting.
we should probably pick like if we're gonna pick Yura Borisov or Clarence Macklin, we should probably pick just one of them, actually.
I agree. And yeah. And so I think your Borisov, while I'm hesitant, yeah, I would be comfortable in picking him.
Yeah, just looking at some of the others, I think he'll make his way in there.
Yeah. I think because, despite the snubs at the Globes, I think the voters are still going to love Honora. And if you
Yeah,
love your leads, if you love the film, you're going to like the supporting characters too. And Yura Borisov is going to be the beneficiary of
yeah.
people loving Honora.
And
Um,
I think the Academy will have more love for Honora than Amelia Perez. That's just my honest opinion.
I
I
hope
don't
so.
I think the Globes always tend to be a little bit more unconventional with some of their picks, so there's still definitely Oscar hope for Honora. I don't think it's like the light is not burned out yet. And we still haven't seen SAG and Critics' Choice and all these other awards that might make it surge even more.
True. So when it comes to this fifth pick,
Hmm.
for a while, thought Denzel Washington was a lock to get in for Gladiator 2. And I thought that he might win the whole thing. A lot of people thought that. Um, Now, after we all saw Gladiator 2, it wasn't an Oscar movie. I think that's pretty fair to say. But does that mean Denzel Washington's performance isn't a caliber to get Oscar nominated. I thought he was great in it. I thought he was really good. But
I might say something somewhat controversial here. I've heard many people praise Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. I will preface this by saying that he is one of my all-time favorite actors, probably in the top five. I did not think his performance in Gladiator 2 was good. That's just my honest opinion.
oh,
I think he's overdoing it a bit, and in terms of Denzel performances, it's not among his best. That being said, this is an unpopular opinion, so that doesn't mean that he won't get nominated. But it makes it hard for me to know if Denzel's truly a contender for this category.
I think enough people are going to agree that I think Gladiator 2 is falling like a rock. And I don't think Denzel's personal profile is going to be enough to keep him in there. And because he did miss out on SAG, he got in a Golden Globe and Critics' Choice. Now, Golden Globe and Critics' Choice it's not a great feat to get in there. Oh, I mean, it's obviously great, but it's like, oh, Critics' Choice, there's a lot of nominees there. Same with Golden Globes. You get in SAG, those are your fellow actors saying you're a great actor. And that's so much of there's a lot of overlap between SAG and who votes for actors at the Oscars. And I have some stats here actually I pulled up when it comes to SAG, the SAG's predicting the Oscar noms. Last year, when it came to the 20 Oscar nominees last year, the SAGs predicted 17 of them. Now
Yeah, the
that's
SAGs are usually a good precursor for actors. So who do they have in this category?
so they have Kieran Culkin, they have Edward Norton, they have Yura Borisov, they have Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice, and then they have Jonathan Bailey for Wicked.
So I'm gonna say if we have to choose between Jeremy Strong and Jonathan Bailey, which I think is fair, because looking at the SAG history, I think Jeremy Strong has to be the one, right? Like Jonathan Bailey for Wicked is more of a wild card, or what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, Jonathan Bailey has gotten into a couple of smaller awards. I forget, I think it's the Astras, which are basically a precursor for Critics' Choice, but then he didn't get into Critics' Choice. Um, I don't think, listen, I don't see Jonathan Bailey as an Oscars caliber performance either. I
I
think Jeremy
don't I
Strong,
don't think so. I did not. I mean, he
yeah,
was good. He was fine.
yeah, he's
The movie's
fine.
not about him, so I
No.
didn't really think about it too much.
But Jeremy Strong, again, I haven't seen it, but he looks really good in it. He looks really good in what I've seen and all. And I hear just even like looking at images from him from the movie, he looks great.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Jeremy Strong is like from I haven't seen The Apprentice, but I have seen Succession, and everyone talks about how he's a method actor. So he gives 110% to everything he does. So it wouldn't
and
surprise me if it's a very good performance.
and hey, we're already predicting Sebastian Stan's getting in there, and I think Jeremy Strong, and I've always thought this has a better chance of getting into the Oscars more than Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. However, Sebastian Stan is also helped by his other performance. But that being said, I think Jeremy Strong is strong enough to get in there, and I would pick him.
Yeah, I would agree. Jeremy Strong is a safe fifth pick. However, I would be not upset if Clarence Macklin takes that from him.
I agree. I agree. That would be a great pick, but I think what we have here, I think, is rather safe.
Right. If we're going for accuracy, these are good picks. So to review Best Supporting Actor, we have Kieran Culkin from A Real Pain, Guy Pearce in The Brutalist, Edward Norton in A Complete Unknown, Yura Borisov for Honora, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice.
Yep.
Let's keep moving. So now we're going on to Best Supporting Actress, which I think is already for winning is a two-way race between Zoe Saldana and Ariana Grande. So
I
we can
agree.
lock those two in.
Yes, I agree. I think both of them are getting nominated. It's funny with Zoe Saldana and okay, so I agree with you about Amelia Perez. I didn't think it was great. I don't see where all the hype's coming from, and I don't think it's good. That being said, I think Zoe Saldana, I thought she was really good. I thought she was
Yeah,
really good in the
she
movie.
was. She was
And
good, and the songs are like they're interesting, but they're good. Like they sound good. They're technically well made.
yeah, I didn't like the movie, but I really liked her performance.
Yeah,
So it's funny.
she's the saving grace of the movie, I think. If
Yeah.
there's anything to like, I think it's really her. I mean, any of the performances I think are fine in that movie. They're not bad. But Zoe's definitely the standout for me. Like if someone's gonna win an award for acting in that movie, I would say Zoe Saldana is the
Yeah,
top pick. Looking at some of these others, I really think we can throw Felicity Jones in here because The Brutalist just has that kind of not quite op and sweep level of hype, but it is definitely a movie that's going to get awarded for a lot of things.
I agree. I agree. No, I think Felicity Jones, I've heard she's a really strong part of the Brutalist. And yeah, she didn't get into Critics' Choice. She also didn't get into SAG. But as we said, SAG hated the Brutalist. So, it doesn't matter there. I do think
Yeah.
she's still getting in.
Now,
Uh,
I want to ask you this. I would say this category is not as hard for me to pick the next two. I I feel Isabella Rossellini from Conclave and Margaret Qualley in The Substance would be my other two picks. You tell me if there's something I'm missing or something else we should dive into more.
I'm leaning toward agreeing with you on those. Isabella Rossellini, here's the thing. I I have the opposite thing. The feeling I have about Amelia Perez, I am the opposite with Conclave, is I really liked Conclave.
Yeah.
And Isabel Rossellini, like she wasn't bad in it, but I'm like, wow, she's getting Oscar buzz for this. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I
like
wouldn't have thought it when seeing the movie, but she is getting other nominations.
yeah,
It's kind
like
of the Yuri Borisov situation.
no, yeah, a little bit. But even then, Yura Borisov is in more of the movie than Isabella Rossellini.
I mean, Yuri Borisov is a huge part of the movie in terms of the story. Like Isabel Rossellini has a much smaller part in Conclave than Yuri
Yeah,
Borisov has in Anora.
but I think when you're and I think Isabel Rossellini is a big enough actress. I think as in if she's been nominated, it's been a long time. I don't even know if she has, but I think they're willing to award her for this or nominate her rather for this, and I think that's fair. Now you said Margaret Qualley. I think she is surging, and yeah, I think she is surging, and I think that would be a good pick. I would probably pick her. Um, Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown is also surging because she got a SAG nomination.
I don't think Monica Barbaro will get in. However, I wouldn't be mad about it. She was very good in A
Yeah.
Complete Unknown. And also,
Um,
I love her. So,
mhm. um, Haniel Edweiler for The Piano Lesson, which The Piano Lesson is a relatively small film and has just fallen over the course of award season. Daniel Deadweiler was their last shot. And we already know the Academy's history with her. Well, last year, I guess 2 years ago.
Till was 2022.
So 2 years ago, she was in Till. Should have been a lock to get nominated, but a shocking snub. And so the Academy already has a history of not noticing her. So I don't see that trend stopping here.
I'll go out and say it. I think Daniel Deadweiler until was the best actress performance I'd seen that year. So when she was left out of that, I'm
Yeah.
like that is an egregious snub
No,
because she is the heart and soul of that movie, and it was really surprising that she was left out. So I agree with you. If she's not going to get nominated for Till, I don't see The Piano Lesson being the film that's going to do it for this year.
no, yeah, I agree. And no, it's funny going back to the situation a couple of years ago. You were supposed to be nominated when when you get snubbed. People are asking for there to be an investigation because that's what happened. Because it was the whole thing with you remember that thing with Andrea Riseborough, how she got in for that. I'm honestly forgetting
What,
what the
to Leslie?
to Leslie. Yeah, she got it to Leslie, was completely grassroots. And it was like, how did this get on their radar? And it was like there was some illicit marketing going on, and which is kind of sort of against the rules when it comes to the Oscars. But it turned out they didn't really break any rules, but they kind of did. Anyway, a lot of people were like, she got nominated at the expense of Deadweiler for Till. And if that's the case, then you're correct to be angry about that. And it's just funny, you were snubbed when they're calling an investigation on your snubbing.
Yeah, and I have two things to say about this because I remember that time. After Daniel Deadweiler was snubbed, I immediately tracked down the film To Leslie to watch it, and it's actually an outstanding, great movie, very good performance. However, not as strong as Daniel Deadweiler. But To Leslie is very good. And Till, I think Till is one of those movies that's about a horrible tragedy in America, and it's so tastefully done. And I just think that's rare in movies about that period of history. And I think it's an overlooked film from 2022. I won't say it's entertaining, but it's one of the best films I saw from that year. And I feel like no one really talks about it. And it's an unpleasant movie to watch. I think it was one of the most unpleasant experiences I had in a movie, but also in the most impactful way I can think of in the last like 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
So both Till and To Leslie are worth checking out, but Daniel Deadweiler is still the best performance from that year for
Yeah.
me.
So I guess for this year, I guess
For
so
this
I
sake,
guess
yeah, Margaret Qualley is my fifth
yeah, I
pick.
feel like Mark White. I mean, especially seeing how much the Academy, how we think they're gonna like. We're already predicting they're gonna like The Substance. I mean, we're already predicting it's gonna get in for Best Director and Picture and Actress. Why not? I mean, I think Margaret Qualley is gonna get in for that effect. I think what's gonna happen to Yura Borisov is what's gonna happen to Margaret Qualley. Same thing.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. All righty, so we're good to lock in our five. And for Best Supporting Actress, we have Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Margaret Qualley for The Substance. On to Best Original Screenplay. All right, here's I'll give you a little bit to work with. I think we can lock in four of these. Actually, you know what? I'll be bold. I actually think we can lock in five of these.
I know what you're doing. Okay, let's see.
I think you're gonna know what movies I'm gonna say Honora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, The Substance, and Challengers. Those are my
Oh,
five.
okay.
Did we at least get some of those overlapping?
I think at least four, maybe five. No, I think the first four you said, I'm in complete agreement.
Yeah,
Uh,
Challengers is my wild card pick, but that's what I would pick looking at
it's
the other
funny.
nominees.
I thought your wild card pick was going to be Saturday Night, and
I
that's
would
why
love to see Saturday Night be recognized for something because that's an underrated movie from the year.
yeah, it fell off. I think it had a chance. I think after it came out, people were like, "Oh, it's going to get in for screenplay," and then it just hasn't gotten in anywhere else. Now we don't know about WGA. And to be honest, WGA has really strange rules. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's eligible because you have to be a WGA, you have to be a member of WGA, and I'm pretty sure Jason Reitman is a member. So I think it will get nominated there probably. But it'll probably get nominated WGA, but I don't know how its Oscar chances are going to be.
Yeah,
But
I mean, honestly, like I'll take this moment to say that Saturday Night is phenomenal film. If you love history, TV history, and if you've ever been on a film set or both, it's such a entertaining film, and I it almost makes me sad to see how overlooked it's been. But I personally love it. I don't think we'll get a nomination for this category personally. I think when it comes to momentum, it's going to be Challengers or maybe All We Imagine Is Light. I don't see the others getting in here.
yeah, I agree. I would love to see challengers in here, and I'm probably leaning toward that. The only one that's giving me pause is All We Can Imagine Is Light. Or All We Imagine Is Light is
Yeah.
some of this momentum could just be coming from me. Um, I think challengers is having a little bit of a late surge, the momentum sort of, but all you can imagine, all we can imagine, no. But I think
I
all we
love how
imagine.
you're making the long title even longer. Academy does love those long titles. You know,
Yeah.
Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, whatever the hell Birdman was called.
But no, but I think yeah, All We Imagine as Light has a chance here. But gosh, I would rather see challengers get nominated.
No,
But
does all we imagine is light is you described it as this year's what film was it? Because it's Anatomy of a Fall because it's technically an Indian film, right? It's produced in
yeah,
India. So, like looking at the other foreign films from this year, I don't know if any of them really have that strong a chance for screenplay. Like Anatomy of a Fall was really good screenplay, so you just can't ignore it.
mhm.
Um, and I have only seen challengers between the two we're talking about. I think Challengers has a great script. It's a great movie. Very, very solid, tight dialogue. Um, so I think if I had to pick one, my heart says Challengers, but you tell me if we shouldn't go with it.
I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you. I do think that really has good. It may be more just because I want to see it too. Only Matters Light, and to be clear, that Anatomy of a Fall comparison mainly came from the fact that it's India's film and it wasn't selected as India's
Right, right.
representative
I should have
for
clarified
foreign
that.
film. Same
My
thing
bad.
with Anatomy of a Fall was controversially snubbed as France's pick last year, and but I don't think All We Imagine Is Light is nearly as strong of a contender. I mean, it's not in the Best Picture conversation.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
but last year it felt even more egregious because Anatomy of a Fall won the Palme d'Or and still it wasn't the pick for that country. Whereas India's pick, La Bata Ladies, is still a great movie. So
yeah,
it's a little different, I think.
no, I agree. Now, September 5, I would love to see September 5 in here, but
Yeah,
uh,
it would help if I had seen it, but it's not out yet.
yeah, and well, here's the thing. I don't think a lot of people have seen September 5, and that's the problem.
And
Not just you.
I think it's gonna stay that way. I don't think a lot of people are gonna see it. I want to see it, but I think I'm among the few who like have interest in like going on my way to watch it.
But do people remember Challengers enough?
Oh
I
yeah.
think,
People are
yeah,
still talking about challengers.
yeah, no, I'll agree with you here. Yeah,
All right, let's do it. So best original screenplay, we are going with Honora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, The Substance, and Challengers.
I like those.
Alrighty. Now we're
All right.
doing what's the next one? Adapted?
So okay, so I'll start with adapted. Conclave, I think, is the front runner here.
Yeah,
It won the Golden Globe for screenplay, and I think it was the writing was the strongest aspect of that film, in my opinion. Well, the
it is a
writing and
dialogue heavy.
yeah, the writing and the cinematography and also the score, but I think the writing especially.
Hmm.
I think it's going to win this category, and I don't think it's particularly close. And
Yeah, I
as
think
we
Conclave is the
said,
front runner for this.
and Amelia Perez is in here too. And
Yeah,
hey, listen, as long as as much as we say we don't like Amelia Perez and we keep ragging on it, um, it is original. It is original,
it is a
creative.
unique film. I will give it that. Even
Yeah.
though it's an adapted screenplay, it feels like an original, totally new thing.
Well, yeah, like I guess that just means the thing they adapted it from was pretty original.
Also, I think it'll get in here too. That being said, there's a song in this film that I think is not well written, and that's all I'll say on that.
That's all you're gonna say. You don't
That's
want
I don't want to get into it because it's if you're on TikTok, you know what I'm talking about.
to. All
Um,
right.
if you're on TikTok after the Golden Globes aired, and you're on Movie Talk, you've seen it all.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyways,
what else here do you like?
I think we can lock in. I think A Complete Unknown will get in here. I feel like A Complete Unknown is that movie that they like. But let me see if it's at the expense of something that has a
I'm
better
not so
chance.
quick to lock it in yet,
Don't lock it in,
but
but
I'll have it hover. I'll be thinking about it. But
I mean, Nickel Boys and Sing Sing should get in, right?
I think Hickle Boys is the Academy. I think we're all thinking there's a chance the Academy might hate Sing Sing for some reason, and everyone's
Mm,
paranoid and taking it off their list.
yeah.
But if they like Sing Sing enough to nominate Coleman Domingo and put it in picture, they should like it for screenplay.
No, yeah.
I'm okay to lock it in for screenplay. Sing Sing.
Yeah. I feel safe about that too. Now here's the fifth pick. This is where it gets tricky. I'll be honest, Dune Part 2 is my favorite film of the year as it stands right now. I don't think it'll get recognized for screenplay.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
think it's too sci-fi and it's too out there for them. Like it'd be like nominating like Star Wars for best screenplay. Like I don't think they'll do it.
and it was nominated for best screenplay.
What, Dune Part 2?
No, Star Wars. Star Wars was nominated for best screenplay.
Which one though?
The first one,
Yeah, see, I guess that was a different time too.
almost 50 years ago.
Yeah. which is also probably when Dune was written. So
Isn't that crazy? I didn't think that Star Wars is almost 50 years old.
it is, yeah, it's getting old. Well, okay. So I think when it comes to our fifth pick, it's going to be between A Complete Unknown, Wicked, and Dune Part Two. I think
I
those are the
think that's
three.
fair.
I see that A Complete Unknown doesn't have precursors, but it is more Oscar-y, I think, in terms of the script.
I agree with you, and seeing as it has been surging a little bit, I think that's fair. Um, are they gonna like Wicked enough to nominate for screenplay?
I think Wicked is going to be more of a technical awards darling outside of the two performances.
Yeah.
I don't see it getting in screenplay. Now,
Uh,
what are some like you might know more about this? What are some movies that are Best Picture nominated but not screenplay nominated in the last few years?
oh yeah, for sure. So Her Side Story, Avatar: The Way of Water, um,
See, West Side Story was a
Elvis,
musical, so it's important to factor that in, I think.
Elvis. Elvis is a big
Mm,
one. Musical. These musical films.
yeah.
So Elvis is a surprise when A Star is Born gets a screenplay nomination, when La La Land gets a screenplay nomination. It's
Hmm.
a big like, hey, you're a musical. You got into screenplay. That's awesome. That being
Yeah.
said, A Complete Unknown is not a musical.
Yeah,
I
it just
mean,
has music in it, but it's not a
yeah.
musical. Whereas
I
Wicked is
mean,
definitely a musical.
yes. I would be surprised if Wicked got in, but like if the love that being said,
Emilia
there
Perez
have
is a
been
musical too. So would two
true.
musicals get in the same category?
That would be crazy. But there have been cases where films that were strong in other areas, like you said, this is more of a technical awards film, they've been nominated for screenplay as a surprise. Top Gun Maverick was nominated for screenplay. 1917 was nominated for screenplay.
Hmm.
Dune Part One was nominated for screenplay. Things like this.
Yeah, this is,
But
I'm kind of backtracking a bit now. I think I think Dune Part Two is my pick based on all this data.
see, I don't even think Dune Part Two is going to get it. I
What do
or
you
I'm a
think?
little
What's your
unsure.
pick?
I'll be honest, maybe a complete unknown after talking. It's so funny. We all
Yeah,
said the same information, and then we
we kind of
came on the
switched.
opposite. We literally switched. Okay,
We convinced each
here's
other of our initial viewpoints.
here's a data point that I just want to point out here.
Hmm.
Dune's supposed to be a trilogy, right?
Yeah, we got Dune Messiah coming up next.
Okay. The second film is usually the one that is. There's some exceptions, but the second one is usually the one that's overlooked by the Academy the most.
Mm.
And Lord of the Rings, Fellowship got a screenplay nomination and picture and director. So did Return of the King. The Two Towers only got Best Picture, did not get director or screenplay. I don't know if that translates here. I'm just pointing that out.
Hmm.
Um, that being said, Dune Part Two was decidedly stronger than Dune Part One, but is
Yeah,
that in its writing?
unquestionably. Yeah.
Is that in its? I think Dune Part Two. It'd be so weird two Dunes in a row. They don't award Denis Villeneuve for director, but they award him for screenplay. Not unprecedented, but just interesting.
Big sad because I love Dune Part Two, but you're right.
I
I think A Complete Unknown is actually, I'm gonna stick to my guns. That's what I'm gonna pick.
You want to know what's funny? After saying that, I am now thinking Dune Part Two.
Yeah, it's hard. This is a tricky
We
one.
keep going back and forth.
Let's let's okay,
I'm a
let's make a gut decision at the same time.
okay.
All right,
Three,
three, two, one. Doom
Dune.
Part Two. Okay, let's
Okay.
do it. I changed my mind again because
All
this
right.
category is gonna we can be going back and forth for hours if we really want to.
Yeah.
We could do a whole
That's our
episode on
gut.
just if it's gonna be Dune Part Two or A Complete Unknown.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay.
Sometimes it's just good to pick what you want to be in there, which is Dune Part Two for me. So,
I agree.
okay, so best adapted screenplay we have Conclave, Milia Perez, Sing Sing, Nickel Boys, and Dune Part Two.
Okay.
And will the next one be animated film?
Animated feature.
All right. So we've done the big eight, but we love to include animated feature because we love animated movies and I consider it a major category in my books. And I
Yes, we
think
do.
this is going to be the easiest one to predict. I'm just going to say the five that I think are guaranteed to be nominated. It's been the same at a lot of award shows. We're gonna go The Wild Robot, Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail. Oh wait, this shit, there's six. No, Wallace and Gromit. I'm not going Moana 2. Those are my
Yeah.
five.
I agree with you there. I think that is, yeah. Moana 2 was nominated at the Golden Globes because the Golden Globes have six, but the Oscars have
Right.
five, and those are the five.
These are the five.
Those were also nominated by Critics' Choice and by the Animated Guild as
Mhm.
well. They all nominated these five.
Yeah. And
Well,
I'm looking at
fair.
this graphic you made. I've seen all of these films, and these are the best ones. So
Yeah. Uh, Animated Guild also nominated a few others because he also split theirs between studio and independent.
yeah,
But no, I think definitely these are the five. The real question is who wins between the Wild Robot and Flow.
that's going to be a conversation for another time because I'm still stuck. As much as I love the Wild Robot, I do think Flow is on the rise.
Yeah, I mean that being said, yes, the Golden Globes gave it to Flow, but like they're a relatively small, voting body.
Yeah, anime historically, from what I've seen, animated Golden Globe win does not mean Oscar win,
No,
necessarily. So
2019 they gave it to Hissing Link.
yeah, I did. Also, I'm looking at all of these movies are movies I like, except for Despicable Me 4, which was bad. It's kind of
Yeah,
funny. I'm looking at your PowerPoint here. Transformers 1 was good. Piece by Piece was good. Lord of the Rings was okay.
yeah.
Moana 2 was, I think, decent. But yeah, Inside Out 2, Wild Robot, and Memoir of a Snail are my three favorite animated movies of this year. I think, unquestionably. Even more than Flow. I like Memoir of a Snail even more than Flow, personally.
I did too, which
Yeah.
maybe that was the most
Yeah, Zach and I saw that one
depressing.
together.
That was the most depressing film I've seen all year. Oh my God.
I was like, hey, this movie's playing. And he's like, what's it about? And I'm like, it's animated.
Well, listen, it's not gonna be sad. It's a cartoon.
It's
Hey.
made with stop motion.
Oh, and then it's just sad thing after sad thing after sad thing, and like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's well worth seeing, but you will be drained by the end. Um, okay, so for best animated feature, we have our picks as The Wild Robot, Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, and Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul.
Yes, I am happy with these.
Yeah, I feel good about that. I'd be surprised if something else got in. Are that all of
Okay.
our categories?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Those are all the categories are officially picking here. However, I did have a couple of observations and kind of things that I want to happen in a couple of the other categories I thought I'd share. Um, we were talking a lot about challengers. I hope challengers gets nominations elsewhere. Specifically, I hope it gets I hope it gets an editing nomination because it deserves it. The editing is a coveted category. And I think the Brutalist will probably get in there, maybe a Nora, Conclave, these big Best Picture contenders, but Challengers deserves to be in there too, and I hope it does. Same thing with score. That score, oh my God, that score, it needs to be in. I will say this, cinematography, Nosferatu will probably get in for cinematography, mainly because, it's a Robert Eggers film. He did the Lighthouse. The Lighthouse also got a cinematography nomination as its only nomination, and he's using the same cinematographer here that he also did for the Lighthouse. So I think that is a good one. But yeah, kind of based on our nominations here. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of films that rack up a lot of nominations. So, Josh, I wanted to ask you, so of the films here, what do you think is going to get the most nominations?
Well, to answer your question, I'd like to say I think The Brutalist will be the favorite this year. I think it'll probably garner the most technical and other awards. I think we've already picked it for what, almost every category. I mean,
Yeah. So of the big eight, just to be clear, so we have The Brutalist getting six. We
mhm.
have Anora getting five. We have Amelia Perez getting five. Same thing with The Substance. Same thing with Conclave. We have Wicked getting four. But yeah,
Yeah,
so those are our big ones here. But The Brutalist is our big. We think that's gonna be the big movies in the big eight alone. But
yeah. I think The Brutalist, if I had to pick one, but Anora could very well be the one that takes it back. But one of those two, I think, will be the most nominated. Which quantity of nominations doesn't always mean anything. There have been films that have been nominated for like 10 Oscars, like Killers of the Flower Moon or American Hustle, that didn't win. They didn't walk away with anything.
That's all.
However, in terms of, I think most nominations, even maybe even most wins, I think The Brutalist will be the favorite for the Oscars. And I haven't even seen The Brutalist yet, but that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, they either Brutalist or Hoon Part Two, maybe. Hoon Part Two,
Yeah.
even though we only have
There's
it
lots of
getting,
technical awards that June
yeah,
Part 2 will just get, like visual effects
mhm,
and that sort of thing.
yeah. Even though
Um,
we only have it getting picture and screenplay, it'll probably get all seven of the technical nominations plus score, and so that's 10 right there. With the ones that we give it, but
yeah.
well, like you said, the Brutalist is going to clean up everywhere. So I think the Brutalist and Doom Part 2 are going to be the big ones
Yeah.
because it's the movies that do well in the technical branches and in the big categories. But the
Yeah.
Brutalist, I think, is the movie poised to make a splash there.
hmm And I'd also like to take a second to recognize Nosferatu, not one of my personal favorites of the year, but a very good film that does deserve recognition for things like cinematography, production design, costume design, set design, like all the technical elements of the movie are there. And I think it should, the Academy has a tendency to ignore horror films. And I think that one has a lot of technical skill that I think should be Oscar worthy. Um, I think in a fair world, Lily Rose would be in the conversation a bit more, but I don't see it happening at all. Just because of, if you're not going to nominate Toni Collette for Hereditary, then you'll probably never nominate someone for a horror movie at that point.
Sure. Yeah,
And yeah, I think that's how it's going to play out. But there's a lot between now and then, and we'll see what happens. It could change.
absolutely. Absolutely. I guess one other question I had. So I know we've already gone through what we think is going to get nominated. What is a movie that really doesn't, a movie performance aspect that really doesn't have a shot, based on the graphics I provided, that doesn't have a shot getting nominated, but you would love to see in that category?
So I'll name one movie. I'll name two movies for this. Well, I'll name one movie that has like no shot at all. That was one of my favorites of the year. And then I'm gonna briefly just go through like some great films that I think will not get Oscar attention, but should be mentioned. Just because this is a film podcast and we should highlight great films when we can.
Mhm.
Um, my pick for your question is Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that's such a great blockbuster film, and it currently ranked as my number four best movie of the year. I think it's so fun, and it made so much money. I don't, they don't. I'm glad they're not doing like the box office, thing that they do at the Globes. But
Hope that never happens here.
it'd be really cool to see like Hugh Jackman getting nominated for playing Wolverine. Like I don't know, I would love to see these kind of things, but it's not the world we live in. So Deadpool and Wolverine is the one that I fear has no shot at any Oscars, but I love dearly. Um, and I'm gonna do the rapid fire list now. I'm gonna say a quick blurb for the movies that are in my top 10. Then beyond that, I'm just gonna name films that I believe have either no Oscar chance or limited Oscar chance, like one or two nominations. And they're all, they're all great films, but I won't take up too much time doing this, but I really want to do it. Dee Dee, my second favorite film of the year. I think Joan Chen should have easily been considered for more awards. She hasn't really been, but wonderful coming of age film, love it to death, and it's still my second favorite film of the year. Deadpool and Wolverine, I already said that. A lot of my top 10 films are award contenders. That's why I'm skipping some of them, like The Wild Robot, Challengers, Anora. His Three Daughters. I don't think they'll get nominated for anything, and that's a wonderful, wonderful movie.
Hmm.
Furiosa and Mad Max Saga. I think there's chances for technical awards, but I think it'll be mostly overlooked, like it was at the box office. Okay. Then the last one is this movie called Scrambled. I never saw it as an Oscar contender, but I think it's a great movie. Underrated. All right, these other movies, I'm just gonna name them. I'm not gonna get into why, but my personal belief is that they will not get nominated for Oscars. But they are very good and worth your time. Monkey Man, Civil War, Longlegs, Kill, Alien Romulus, Heretic, My Old Ass, The Fall Guy, Babes, It's What's Inside, We Live in Time, Late Night with the Devil, Young Woman and the Sea, Thelma, Speak No Evil, The Fire Inside, White Bird, Smile 2, Kneecap, Look Back, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Quiet Place Day One, The Greatest Hits, Snack Shack, and yeah, that's my list. Those movies are all well worth your time. And if we honored horror movies more, I think Naomi Scott would also be someone we should talk about for Smile 2.
I completely agree. No, I think I at some of the smaller awards, I think it was one of the smaller critics. It wasn't Critics' Choice, but one of the smaller critics awards. They had her in there, and that was so cool to see. Be like, yay, hey, she got in.
Yeah, she's great in that movie. I think her performance is what makes me like Smile 2 more than Smile 1. And I guess if Smile 2 gets in the best original song race somehow, that would be really cool. I don't know if it will.
I
That'd
don't
be
even
awesome.
think I don't even think it was shortlisted. Well, like because for that you have to be shortlisted, and I'll double check, but I don't think it got shortlisted. But
Well,
it
I've
should have.
listened to those songs more than probably any other soundtrack this year. They're just stuck in my head.
Doctor, I need a new brain.
So shout out Smile 2, which is also speaking about Smile 2, it's a movie that I went into this year thinking there was no way in hell I'm watching that in theaters, and I was somehow convinced to watch the first film and the second film with my friends in theaters, and I have an appreciation for them. They're fun group movies. Not my cup of tea necessarily, but I do think they're well made. So we have reached the end of today's discussion on the Oscar nominations for 2025. And Zach and I will be posting these picks on social media when this episode is live at the same time. And we want to give a big thanks to all of you for listening. And if you enjoy our show, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or leave us a review or rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And you can stay up to date with new episodes by giving us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter/X, and support our show by checking out our available merch linked to all of our social media. And with that, we hope you tune in next time.